All right, welcome everybody to the Cult of Paolo. I'm joined here by Dawn Torres. How are you, Dawn?
I am doing good.
That's great to hear. So, we've been planning to do this video for a while, dude, and just because of our schedules, things have not lined up exactly perfectly. But
Right.
I have been looking forward to this, dude. I'm so excited to talk to you today. The main topic is going to be necromancy. So I'm somebody who knows next to nothing about necromancy. I know it's working with dead spirits and things like that, ancestry stuff. Um, but I guess the first question that I want to ask is, what got you into the practice of necromancy?
Well, that is I don't know. I wouldn't say haunting story, but okay, do you remember the post that I put up in Cult of Belial about what was the most pivotal moment in your life or in your practice? And I had left at the bottom and working with the death current. And I got totally different answers. None of them were wrong or anything. It was just that, I was looking more towards the death current and stuff, but they were fascinating because I got to hear different things about different people and, like their struggles and their triumphs and things like that. And I tried to answer back, tried to relate. Some things I could and others, I couldn't. But, well, I was like 15 years old and, by then I was already starting to practice more into the darker arts or, and me and my friend, I used to run away from home a lot because I was I was a wild child. Where I landed is where I landed.
Right. I know all about that, yeah.
Yeah. I could tell you stories, but on this particular one, this one changed everything that I thought I knew about death. And so I ran away from home. Of course, my mom knew where I was at. I was at a friend's house, and she was like a second mother to me. And I went out to do some things that I shouldn't have been doing at 15 years old. I wasn't heavily into drugs, but I was dealing them,
Right.
Idiot.
As one does as 15 years old, Kid stuff.
Yeah, kid stuff. And we had to make a trip to, a friend's house. So we were on our way, and this is in Colorado Springs. And we were on Old Zebulon Pike Road because it was shorter than, going the way that we normally go. So Tanya decided to go down Old Zebulon Pike Road that night. Well, we were driving and we saw this truck, kind of like Bronco vehicle, come towards us. And when you have a car coming towards you in the black of night, okay, on these old roads, it's kind of freaky. But this car was heading like head on towards us. She turned as fast as she could, clipped our back end, and this vehicle started rolling.
The vehicle you were in?
No. The vehicle that the other person was in. I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that. I didn't make that specific. That the other person was in. So I was like, stop the vehicle. We got to go help this person, So stop the vehicle, pull over side, or we're like running towards, because it was now at this point a distance away until we smelled gas. Then I was like, I smell gas. So we ran back to the car and we were so shook up. We didn't know what to do. So we left. Okay. Mind you, I'm 15 years old. We go home, go through the, next day, I go to make a delivery and I'm walking down the street and I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember where I was walking. It was downtown Colorado Springs somewhere. And I saw this gentleman walking and he had a hospital gown on and a hospital bag. And I was like, what is going on here? And so I walked past him and he goes, "Excuse me, miss, can you help me?" And I said, "Yeah, what do you need help with?" And he's like, "Can you please take me home?" And I was like, "Well, where's your home at?" And he's like, "Well, I can't really remember." Now, upon looking at this guy, he didn't look very well, like he looked like he was banged up and everything. And so we're walking. It seemed like we're walking for quite a distance. And I guess he finally recognized where he was at. And he's like, "Oh, there's my apartment." So I got him to his apartment and he sat down on the couch and I was like, "Do you need a drink of water or anything?" And he's like, "No, no, I'm fine. I'm fine." "Well, do you need me to do anything for you?" Like I was like really freaked out. And I remember thinking, what is this man doing out of the out of the hospital, in a hospital gown nonetheless? How did he get out? Like, dude, how did you even leave the hospital with their gown?
Right.
But anyways, he's like, "Can you go in my room and grab my blanket for me? I'm kind of cold." And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I go to his room, grab the blanket, and he'd said something to me that I will never ever forget. He looked at me and he goes, I was alive, but then I died, and I was alive again." And I was like, "Oh, well, what happened?" And he's like, "I don't remember." And he said, "But then I died again." And I was like, "Oh, okay," And that's bringing chills to my arms right now as we speak. So I was like, "Well, is there anything else I can get for you?" And he's like, "No, I just need to sleep." And I was like, "All right." So I left and I went back home. And it was like that night on the news, I think I was in the kitchen doing dishes. And I had told Tanya what happened. And she's like, "Well, that's weird." And she was teaching me, she was teaching me things in, magic and things like that. So the news came on and it said about the vehicle on Old Zebulon Pike Road that had rolled and that the man died. Halo. Like, I looked at her and I was just in shock, literal shock, because I looked at her and I said, "That's impossible. I just walked into his apartment." And she's like, "No, you didn't." And I said, "Yes, I did. I can show you where he lives." So she's like, "Okay, let's go see, because I want to make sure that this guy's okay." I took her to this guy's apartment. We drove there and his family members were there clearing out his house.
Oh my gosh.
Clearing out his house. And I busted out into tears and I said, "Tanya, I swear I brought him back home. I swear I brought him back home." I don't know what to say. I didn't know what to say or what to think, and it's taken me many, many years to reflect on this situation. Even now, like within the past week, I've even reflected on this situation. But yeah, the gentleman had passed away. What? Yes.
I'm in shock. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah. So it steered me onto the path of necromancy, because then I became fascinated with death. Not fascinated, but just I can't find the word for it right now. Enthralled.
Yeah.
I wanted to know why. I wanted to seek answers on how it was that I thought this man was physical. Not thought, but I saw this man in his physical form, or so I thought, and it really just, it's something, I even wrote a poem about it, and I've never really told anybody except for, well, now lots of people are going to know, but I didn't even tell Florin, and he's like, you know, but yeah, and that started me on my path in necromancy, because then I became so fascinated with, and I still am, because in my previous field, I no longer work in nursing, but in my previous field, I was surrounded by death and the death current, and so, and it just fits, you know. But after that experience, I mean, I still get chills talking about it. Not even my boyfriend knows anything about that. But yeah, it was that was a pivotal moment in my life that absolutely changed me, changed my way of thinking about like spiritualisms, spirits, everything changed. And it opened my eyes up wider to what was around me. And so when I had talked to my auntie, there's like 4 or 5 people in my life that I talked about. But when I talked to my auntie about it, she's like, children have a gift, you know, children can see things. And I was a child at that time, and I didn't, you know, like, I think I was just in shock for some years. Like, I didn't, and I did push it out of my mind.
Right.
You know, because I didn't know how to deal with it.
So have you had, you know, once you started getting deeper and deeper into necromancy, did you have any similar experiences like that? Did you find any answers to why that may have occurred, or what happened after that?
Well, what happened after that is my second mommy, Tanya, she introduced me to necromancy, and we would go to the graveyards and, you know, perform rituals and spells. And so she taught me on that path. You know, she taught me how to protect myself, how to raise the spirits, to talk to them like soldiers, because some of those are going to be some of your best allies in necromancy, and you know, things like that. Then after a while, you know, when I got married, like, you know, things changed through life. But yeah, it just, and sometimes even now, just thinking about it, you know, I get a little sick to my stomach. One thing that, because I work with Santa Muerte too, I had asked her what was the reasoning, and it was to bring you to me, is what she said. So it brought me also to her. I mean, I work with Murmur. He's, you know, a demon known in necromancy. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. And also, like, in my experience in nursing and everything, I had some pretty harrowing things happen. Like one time I was went into my dying patient's room, and like, I don't know how to explain this, but I have spirits come to me.
Yes.
You know, and for some reason, I don't know why I did this, but I was like, stop, because there was a gentleman that was pestering me. Do you see where I'm going? Okay.
Yeah.
So then this woman looked up at me and she goes, "Oh, you can see him too?" And I was like, "No, I don't." Yeah, it was like that. So those are things that in my experience, you know, I'm not saying like this is the sixth sense and I see dead people everywhere.
Right.
You know, because I don't. But you know, just things like that happening. You know, and a lot of, if you ever around a lot of nurses, you know, they'll tell you that like a lot of weird stuff happens.
I'm starting to get fascinated with death, dude. Hell yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a very fascinating path. I also practice shadowmancy, and because it goes hand in hand with
Now, what
necromancy.
is shadowmancy?
Working within the shadows, shadow. It helps me to do more shadow work. So when Thorne was writing his book, Shadownomicon, I was like, yes, I relate. And there were some instances that I had told him about at that previous time after his book came out, like, yo, check it out. I just had contact with this shadow, you know, what everybody calls shadow people, that, you know, basically those two go hand in hand when you're working in necromancy. There's and Santa Muerte, she's welcoming to everybody, you know, like anybody can work with her, which is a beautiful thing, I think. But that's what put me on my path in necromancy, is that, because I wanted to know why.
Right.
And when I finally got my answer, I was like, I just felt, my legs felt like jelly. I felt like I was going to drop to the floor. And it was to bring me to her. And even now, I still have questions, but I kind of take it slow at times,
Right.
you know, like, because there's still some questions that I need for myself to be answered that I want to ask her, but I haven't worked with her for a while. So, you know, maybe when I get her altar back up, I'll ask her. But yeah.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned Santa Muerte. I was on the phone with a friend of mine for, I was like 45 minutes, and they're gonna watch this video as soon as we put it up too. And we were talking about Santa Muerte and how they were getting calls from her, and they've avoided it for the longest time. So I think what a great coincidence. You know what I mean? And
that is a coincidence.
I honestly don't know if it's as much of a coincidence as we may believe, you know?
Yeah.
It's things like that sort of just line up. Now, the next question I want to ask is like, so what kind of benefits or what kind of stuff have you achieved through the practice of necromancy? How is it, well, I guess on top of that, how does it impact your daily life as well?
I've achieved a great deal of things because, well, when I do a write our ritual, it's mainly to bring the spirit up of, like, if I wanted to work with a dead soldier, you know, it's like for protection, to protect my house. Or if, you know, like I'm not, how is it? If I'm not feeling something, you know, then because I've worked with dead spirit, like the dead so much, like I can feel them rushing in. So like mainly protection. I use them to get information on specific things that I may need or want. I mean, just all kinds of things. What was your second question? Because
how has it impacted your day-to-day life besides having dead spirits like in your ears sometimes when maybe you don't want them to?
Yeah. How has it impacted my daily life? Well, I'm used to it now, but at first it used to not like scare the crap out of me, but it would like, I would say, freak me out at first, you know. Like I picked a grave site that I am very, very drawn to. I took a friend of mine when she came up here because she wanted graveyard dirt, and I was like, "Oh yeah, let's go."
Right.
Yeah, and while we were in the graveyard, we were She saw something, I saw something, and I could feel her fear. And I turned around to her and I was like, don't be afraid. She's like, I'm not afraid, but I could feel it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so I had to do a little warding. And, you know, it's just things like that. It's impacted my life through my work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Even now in my new job, um, it's helped me get, like, you know, accomplish new jobs, knowledge, you know, things like that, because I glean knowledge regardless of whether I like somebody or not. Like
Mm-hmm.
I still watch, you know,
Right.
things like their videos and stuff, and I glean
Mm-hmm.
specific knowledge from that. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, it's been an amazing journey. One with
Sounds.
full of danger. No.
Yeah. I love you so much, Dawn. Okay. So you brought up that Tanya, your second mother, was teaching you how to do all this stuff, and she taught you how to raise a dead and certain like protections to do for yourself when you get into this practice. And I remember, I don't know how long ago it was, but you mentioned that you had some meditations that you did or some workings that you did to sort of get people acclimated to the death current, right? Because I haven't worked with any kind of dead spirits before. However, I have had some small workings with Azrael, Angel of Death.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, out of all the spirits when I evoked them for the first time, that was one where I was like, I was shocked just because like it wasn't infernal, right? Like when an infernal shows up, it's intimidating, yeah, but like
Yeah.
you're kind of used to it after a while.
Mm-hmm.
When Azrael showed up, it felt like I don't even know how to put it. It was a vibration.
Yes.
It wasn't low, but it had this almost it was a very similar intimidating feeling where it was like it was sharp, you know?
And it reverberated through your body?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and when angels show up, this is true with any angel. When angels show up, they do it like a thunderbolt, dude. They don't fucking care about how you might feel or how you might react. It's like in the Bible they say, "Be not afraid." Well, they're saying that because it fucking feels like the room shook, starting within you.
Right.
Anyway, I'm fucking getting carried away here. What the your
meditation.
Yeah, getting acclimated to the death current. Do you feel like sharing anything like that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. This is how I do it. One thing that I wanted to put in here is Santa Muerte taught me that how death is beautiful. You know, and that without life we cannot have death, and without death we cannot have life. Like literally, it's just like, you know, the circle of life. Hakuna Matata. No, I'm just kidding. No. But yeah, there are some things that I do to even now to continue to acclimate myself to these energies, because at times they're very, very strong. It's almost like the very first time I met Asmodee. Oh, that wiped me on my butt. Let me tell you what. But what I do is, how I start off is, if I know I'm going to do a rite that day, the day before, what I do is I eat clean, because I, like most, or not, well, yeah, most anybody who practices necromancy, you have to, you know, eat right and take care of yourself, because these energies are just so overwhelming.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, because when I was doing a working with Azrael, he was like, "You got fast." Like he's like all that stuff has to flush out of your body.
Yep. And yeah, you have to flush your body. So what I do is I eat clean, as clean as I possibly can. Like I'll eat salads, you know, fish even. I do have a tendency to stay away from red meat, not only because I don't like it, but you know, it's dirty. But I drink a lot of water, and then I start, when I get up that day, the day that I'm going to do my rites, I do a cleansing, to cleanse my aura. I cleanse my entire house up and down. I sage it. And a technique that I learned through my therapist is to, like, your clavicle right up in here, find it, and right up where in between your shoulder and your clavicle is an area, and it feels kind of deep, and you press into it, just firm but gentle, and then you massage it, okay? And any anxiety that you may have, now, if you have like a lot of anxiety or whatever, you'll feel this rush in your chest. And then, like, what you do is it should go away. And then what I do is I, pull down on my arm and kind of flick it.
Whoa. I love that. I love that.
And I use that also in like stressful situations or whatever, because it just takes everything away.
Mental health tips from a necromancer.
Yeah.
Subscribe.
And then what I do, because this is such a long process, is I meditate. And when I meditate, I make sure that, I tell my kids, because they know what I do. I tell my kids, don't call me. Don't bother me. I'm doing a rite or a ritual tonight. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah. We get it, Mom. And but I'll meditate, and when I meditate to a frequency. I forgot what it's called. I know I can find it. I'll send it to you. What I meditate to. And before I meditate, I do a 5-second roll. Whatever I think of, I go ahead and do it. And then that way, and I count backwards. That way it jars the prefrontal cortex of my brain to do it.
Right.
So I just kick back, relax, lay down on my bed or sit in my chair with my incense, throw on the music, and, just let everything go. And then I visualize myself in the darkest dark area that you could ever imagine, pitch black, and I visualize all the energies coming to me and of the death current. And, now normally I usually ask for protection just in case, something were to go awry. But that's what, when I meditate, I ask Murmur to come. But that's just part of my acclimation for the death current. The other part is like the day before, I have everything ready, especially if I'm going to deal with the spirit of a soldier who had passed on. Because some of them can be quite foreboding. I don't know if you've ever heard of anything like that, but they can be, quite rambunctious. And I visualize the death energy coming into me kind of like a green fog, like a mist coming out, and I breathe a little bit of it in and let it out. And then I breathe deeper, and then I let it out until I can fully take a full breath. And then I breathe it out. And that's how I acclimate to the death current and, death energies and stuff, and get myself ready. I mean, there's other ways too, and Connor Kendall, he has a really good acclimation as well. Yeah, his is badass too. Mine is just
Right on. I really like that. I really like your acclamations.
So, I mean, there's other things that I can teach you if you want. when it comes to acclimation into the death current. But yeah, and I read can't even I think it's Damiel from Espen Kane, and he has one in there too for an acclimation into the death current, which is very interesting, that I had tried and was like, it was pretty powerful. So yeah, I mean, there's various different things that I tried. Like I said, music, and then after I get done meditating, then I'll put on hold on, I think I still have it up, I don't know. No, but there's I'll have to send that to you too. There's another meditation that I use. Like, I use a lot of vibrations too, and
Right.
and like I have a bell to, wake the spirit up, kind of.
I was gonna say that. I didn't want to steal your thunder to wake them up.
No, yep. I have the bell to wake them up, and
Right. Now, after you're acclimated to the current, right? Let's say I found a dead soldier, right? Got to a graveyard, or however else it works. Maybe got some graveyard dirt, took it home, and got the name of the guy, and was getting ready to do it right. What would be the process to waking the dead?
Waking the dead?
Yeah.
Well, I think I kind of explained it. Like, what do you mean? Like,
I mean, like a summoning rite for a dead spirit.
What I do is I always call on Murmur, because he makes them tell you the truth and things like that. So I use his assistance, or Santa Muerte, especially. I use their assistance. But I only use Santa Muerte if somebody comes to me and is like, my loved one, I want to talk to them,
Right.
and things like that. I've done that before. That was kind of a freaky one. That's another story for another time. But yeah, I use him because not only, as for protection, but he also helps, and keeping I call them junk entities, like other entities coming and things like that. I did raise my sacred space. I did do all that.
Yeah.
But you could never be too safe.
Right.
And I give them an offering. Like, I had a friend who had a court case. I used to take care of a gentleman, and he told me, if there's anything you need, let me know. Oh yeah, I need. So I summoned him, and his favorite thing was, chicken noodle soup. So I give him some chicken noodle soup, and, I give them offerings and things like that. I also use a skull to communicate, which is very interesting.
Like a real human skull?
Oh no, I wish I had one. No, an animal skull.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, dude, those are expensive. I found one once. It was like $1,800. I wish I had the money. Anyway.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I guess the last thing that I want to ask is, like, for somebody getting started in this, what is some advice that you want to give that you wish you had when you were starting out?
Well, see, I was lucky. I was surrounded by people who, who were advanced in magic, and they taught me. So I was always lucky. A lot of people aren't lucky. So the first thing that I would tell you to do is work with Murmur. Open up to him. When he comes, like when he first came to me, about blew my socks off, because the energy was so heavy, and the air was thick, and he just came like rah. But getting past that, Give him offerings every day. Start working with him. Also, start meditating and have him, give you meditations to acclimate you to these energies, because working in necromancy can be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially if you're working in a graveyard. I'm sorry. If you're working in a graveyard, you don't want, the wrong spirits following you home.
Mm-hmm.
Because then that's definitely bad juju.
Yeah.
So what I do when I leave a graveyard, if I perform a rite there, is I always take, and I made this. Well, my friend taught me how to make it. It's black salt, the ashes of when you cleansed your home,
Mm-hmm.
and crushed up bone.
Mm-hmm.
And I take it with me. And when I leave, I put it over from where I entered, and I say, you may not come past this.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I have too. Another thing is meditate, eat clean, definitely eat clean, because you do not want any impurities in you. Fast, if you can fast at least for 12 to 18 hours before you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, you can eat all the cheeseburgers you want, but
Hell yeah.
and read. And I'm not such a big person on reading. I like to go on an especially if like, I don't know. I'm just that way. That's just how I was taught. Like, books are important. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
They're important, but your experience is going to be more important.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So, anything else that I can think of? Not at this moment.
Rock and roll, man. Dude, this was such an awesome time having you on. This is not going to be our last video together. I guarantee it, because I fucking love you. Just right off the bat, I love you. I know. Stop it. Thanks everybody for joining. Again, thank you, Dawn, for joining. Subscribe. We're gonna have more videos coming up for you. And also, if you've stuck around all the way to the end, the Facebook post where we had all the questions posted, we will be answering those. Me and Anton just have to sit down together to answer them. Okay, it's coming up. Please be patient. So again, thanks guys for watching. Until next time.
Bye everybody.